Yo, 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 yo. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night. Welcome to another episode of Rise and Pod with Adrian Conway. I'm your host, and today we are diving into destroying obstacles. This is going to be a multiple part series where we dive into different aspects of fitness and or training and talk about the way that we tend to, as a society and often as individuals, create obstacles that don't actually exist. We live in a society today that is overridden with being sedentary, working from a desk, not even having to leave our homes to embark on a successful career, which demands that we interact face to face, zero with people other than on a screen, and move our bodies zero other than to click away and type away. With that being said, movement is extremely important. Training is extremely important. But today I want to dive into the fact that most people look at influencers, look at high level achievers as athletes, look at CrossFit gyms like a CrossFit class that they might have seen going down or even tried for themselves. Go to a global gym and see the bodybuilder whom is trying to get stage ready and trying to achieve as much as they can with external goals of winning or achievement or being a ridiculously low body fat level and of course carrying obscene amounts of body mass in the form of lean muscle. All of those things considered, because they look at those people and look at those instances, they often assume that there are obstacles that exist between them reaching their personal physical goals because they can't do what they see those other people doing. For example, maybe they don't feel like they have an hour to train at a CrossFit gym each day because it's actually more than an hour. The class itself is an hour, but somehow they've got to find the time to get there. They've got to pay a membership. They've got to do all of this and all of that, which I will also sit here and say from a balance perspective and a coaching perspective. Folks, that investment of both time and money is completely worth it. And it is exactly that, an investment in your short term happiness, your long term health, longevity, and long term happiness, and also fulfillment. What you're able to do through the years of your life will be strongly dictated by the activities that you do now, by the training stimulus that you chase now. So, that inconvenience of the time and where you're going to have to find extra time in your day from other things that you'll have to carve out, even if that means for you making less money, team, it's worth it. And there will be people who disagree with me. You, in the scenario that you find yourself in, might disagree with me even right now, but I'm going to tell you right now that it is worth it. Um, I just made a post very recently that said, build muscle now and live a fuller life later. Build the highest aerobic capacity now and live a longer life later. And in short, what I was expressing is that we want to build up as much work capacity as possible physically right now so that through our years we can fight with tooth and nail to sustain it throughout our years, because fitness health essentially is our fitness through our years. A lot of today's society refers to health as the absence of disease, and I don't want to live to an old age simply avoiding disease. I want to live a very full life, a very active life, and I want to be able to measure the quality of it by measuring my work capacity, the things that I do. This is stuff that we do on a regular basis in my training programs with benchmark workouts. This is something that you do in CrossFit if you go to an affiliate or a gym that's led by a coach with good programming. You have an assessment that helps you understand where you are, where your starting point was. Then you check and recheck those things throughout the years and throughout a year in itself. These are very undiscriminatory and unbiased tests that help you understand from a quantifiable measure where you stand currently and which is what matters, because that's what's going to motivate your decisions. So this particular episode, though, to guide myself back to away from this rant and back to the topic, is that training isn't complicated. You see, training doesn't have to be overrun with working sets and percentages of a lift and complex movements like a squat snatch or a clean and jerk or a butterfly pull up or a ring muscle up or a handstand walk or an hour of absolutely brutal training that leaves you laying on the ground in a puddle of sweat and often sometimes even the desire to vomit. Like, that's not what training is. Is training that way for some people? Sure. Is that training to some degree for people who want to go to the CrossFit games or want to run a sub 230 marathon or want to be 6% body fat or less or want to achieve the feat of, being reaching a pro or moderately elite status in high rocks competitions? Absolutely. You've got to chase intensity and you've got to also have training structured in a way that is periodized to peak you for such tests or performances. There's no doubt about that. And I don't want to discourage anyone who lives that way, but I want to encourage everyone who is a bit afraid to live that way. And what I want to bring to your rationale or realization is that walking for 30 minutes in a day is training. If you break it up so that it's 10 minutes of walking after every meal, for example, you can get great adaptations from that. And steps are steps. People want to vilify walking or say that that's not intense enough. Folks, the psychological, physiological, and emotional benefits that you can get from going on a walk multiple times a day in short amounts, especially if the sun is shining. But even if it isn't, even if you are in a cloudy, gloomy, cold, frigid terrain and you go out and walk in it, bundle up. The emotional, psychological, and physiological adaptations that can take place will be unparalleled. You will have done something hard. You will have done something to hold yourself accountable, and you will physically have moved your body, burned calories, and actually put the calories that you're taking in through your diet to use. Now, this sounds like it's AC. Don't glamorize just walking because people are going to be misled. No, they're not going to be misled. My friends, people do so little now that they look at 10,000 steps in a day and we think, wow, that's an egregious amount. How could I ever accrue 10,000 steps in a day? That's not a good thing. That should not be an obstacle for us. In fact, that should be on average in what we do just to meet the needs of being human. And we are so far and trending so far from being human that this is a problem. So, with this podcast, I want to help unveil or demystify this obstacle that people think exists that actually isn't a thing. Folks, the push up. This is a movement that anyone in the entire world can do. The push up will build trunk stability, trunk stamina. When I say trunk, I mean the rectus abdominis, your abs, your erectors, the muscles that align your spine and the back, even your hip flexors, especially when you're doing it from your toes. That highest level of a push up where you're just on your toes and your hands. It will involve and develop the pec minor, the pec major. These are your chest muscles, the anterior deltoid, the front of your deltoid, even the rear deltoid as it stabilizes, even your upper and middle back as your shoulder blades are forced to move and stabilize around your ribs as they protract and retract at the top and at the bottom of the push-up. Team, your triceps, your biceps, everything. Even when your triceps are working, your biceps are sometimes working to stabilize and they flex even at the bottom at that deep position of the push-up. So my whole point is that, and now if we're doing it from our toes, our quads are firing like crazy and can even get great engagement through our glutes if we fight to squeeze them to stabilize through the midline. It's a full body movement, the push-up. Now, all these things I just listed, you can do push-ups and you can do them at the highest level for low reps of like clapping where you send yourself off the ground. That's called a plyometric push-up, which can elicit a 3x power output or 3x strength demand on your upper body and all the musculature that I just listed from doing just a regular tempo-based push-up. So you can have it at that high level to develop power, strength, and plyometrics, explosive strength and speed. And at the lowest level, standing up, facing a wall, hardly supporting any of your body weight. Whether you can do a short range of reps or a high level range of reps, we are still developing strength and stability, and then probably much general physical stamina and endurance in those local muscles. So guess who can do a push-up? Anyone in this world who can extend their arms and bend their arms. And even if you cannot, and you can partially do it, you can still do the work. And it can be modified for any person. So I bring this movement up and I bring the scalability up to you to understand that, team, if you walk 30 minutes a day and you do push-ups, a random amount of number, an assortment amount of number that just pleases your heart, it could be 10 total. That's something. And that something is better than nothing. The air squat. This is literally what I did to sit down in this chair that I'm broadcasting this podcast from today. Me lowering my center of gravity. That means the area between of about the top of my pelvis and the bottom of my belly button, right? That's about my center of mass. I'm going to lower that optimally below the point of parallel with my hip crease below the top of my knee, and then I'm going to stand up optimally throughout the range of motion. You're going to try to keep the weight in your heels. You're going to try to drive your knees out so they track over your toes. And in the starting position, you want to turn your toes out a little bit and stand at about shoulder width. In the initiation phase of the squat, you're going to brace through the midline, squeeze your belly button in towards your spine, and try to keep your chest tall. That's all sidebar stuff. That's performance-based stuff, though. Those are points of performance. If you want to sign up for a CrossFit class, I got a long list of friends who own gyms in your area and in your city who would love to see you walk through the door. They'll train you for free to start, guaranteed. But the air squat is something anyone can do. My grandma, sweetie, who just turned 80, can do an air squat. She might need to hold on to the wall to squat all the way down into this chair, or maybe use her hands to support on the handles of the chair to get down and stand up, but she could do it. And I want her to do it because I want her to live independently as long as possible without the support and need of anyone else presence around her. I want her to be able to get onto the ground and get up to the day she leaves us on this earth. And I want the same thing for everybody. I want you to live independently. I want you to live happily. But the air squat is a foundational movement that everyone must do, because if you have a need and can't do it, that exactly describes the needs that you need to have in your training, the demands that need to be put onto your body. If you're like, well, I can't really control myself all the way to the chair. AC, I can't go all the way down. If I'm down there, I can't redirect myself and stand all the way up. Exactly. And you need more of it. And more of that thing is going to get you the thing that you lack. Scaling. Sit to a box, sit to a chair, sit to a high high top chair, like a stool, even if your range of motion is severely limited. Oh, I only got one leg. Okay, use one leg and do it. Oh, I got a bad knee. Cool, do it on one leg. The functionality of squatting down and up is innately designed in our DNA. It is functional and it is natural and it is essential for your life. Squat and do push-ups. We got now 2 movements to pack on top of walking. That's something that you can do every day. Folks, this is training. This is working out. Ultimately, this is being more human. This is being more human-like. You can do sit-ups if you want. You don't have to do sit-ups. You see, functionally, working the push-up, working the air squat, and walking and or running are all going to create great benefits to midline stabilization and stabilizing through your trunk. So you can do those things, but anyone can do a sit-up, right? Lay down on the ground and start to sit up. You might need to swing your arms to sit up. You might need to hold onto a couch to sit up. You might need to hold onto a rope or a band to sit up at first, but you will build some stabilization and the ability to flex your trunk, which means use your abs to pull your chest and back up off the ground to an upright seated position. And that can bring tremendous value to you and functionality to your life. Now, the predominant functions to our trunk, though, the predominant responsibilities, it's to create stability. It is to resist flexion and undue hyperextension. So we want to think about bracing loads. That's why in CrossFit and in training, the training that I use on Train to Rise Up, a lot of our programs, we don't do a ton of trunk flexion in the form of sit-ups. Now, we'll use the GHD, especially for competitors because they need to be exposed to that. But we'll use the GHD. We'll use toes to bar. We will do some Turkish get-ups from time to time, but we do a lot of holds. We do ring supports. We do floor lean and rest, or better known as an FLR, which is just holding the top of a push-up in a really high-quality position, because that's the predominant responsibility of our abs and our erectors and our hip flexors. It's to stabilize. That's what they are designed to do. They're to help keep you upright. They're to help hold positions. They're to help keep you from whipping your spine around like a wet noodle when you're doing things like jumping as high as you can and running as fast as you can. All that being said, I've just listed 4 things for you to do. 4 things for you to do. I've listed 4 things for you to do: the walk, the push-up, the air squat, and the sit-up. There are endless amounts of variations. You can search them on YouTube. You can do anything that you want to do. But I'm going to tell you right now that if you have 30 minutes of time away from your screen, away from your laptop, away from other humans, or make it communal and do it with your family, do it with your significant other, do it with a friend, catch time to fellowship with people of your spiritual alignment. You could go on a walk with someone and pray. You could go on a walk with someone and talk. You go on a walk with someone and listen. because you can do all these things while you walk and you're going to burn calories and you're going to feel better as you do it. You're going to accrue steps. You're going to build tolerance. You're going to build resiliency. You're going to build confidence in your ability to be a better human. And what's going to happen is one day you're going to walk further. And then the next day you're going to walk faster. And then another time down the road, you might consider running for a few steps. I don't know. Maybe it'll happen. And all those results can exponentially continue to compound, and you will transform the way that you look at yourself and the way that you feel. It'll change the way that you want to eat. Don't worry, nutrition is going to be my next episode on destroying obstacles because that's just as perverted, if not more, than anything else. People think nutrition has to be a certain way, and there's all this dogma, but I'm not going to jump into that yet. I'll save that for the next episode. Folks, training isn't often what influencers or what trainers or what coaches even lead it to be. It is simply being human. And we live lives now that allow us to not be human. We don't do the things that are embedded in our DNA and are essential for a life. Now, people are going to contend me and say, well, AC, they must not be that essential for our life. Well, let me tell you, your DNA don't know any different. And this is the reason that I'm here with a career and with a podcast and with the reach and the influence that I have in this world is because we have so perverted what being a human is. It's the same reason that 70% of our deaths are from chronic disease. It's the same reason that 80% of our healthcare costs are spent towards treating chronic diseases and not curing them, not making them better, but treating them, keeping you alive and keeping you with them. And if you don't pick up what I'm putting down, I'm a little passionate about this because that is what I deem as one of my strong purposes of being here. Not on this podcast, but on this earth, is to help influence people to understand that a lot of times their unhappiness, their insecurities, their things that hold them back tangibly, not just physically in life, but psychologically and emotionally, are on the other side of them understanding that if they were just more human like, that if they just applied this training isn't complicated perspective, if they just did daily movement and they did it with discipline and consistency, that they could change their whole world. So that's what I hope you take from this episode, team. It went a little longer than I expected. I want to keep these under 15 minutes, closer to that 12 to 10-minute mark. But you know me, your boy likes to rant. I want you to spread this message, not like it's gospel because it's not the same, but maybe it's the fitness and health gospel that you need to share with someone. Right now, I'm about to kick off a men's group. It's called Flight. It's going to last for 2 months. It's going to be 8 weeks. This is a strong encouragement to these men to fully commit to the process of prioritizing their fitness. Men, if you're out there, if you're looking for a program, I will no longer be taking on clients for this block of it. But in the future, keep your eyes out and open for things like Rise 45, which is a challenge that we will soon make available to someone to be able to hop on a solo journey of Rise 45 anytime they decide, which is a way to establish habits, to change your nutrition practices, and also add some accountability so you get results that you deserve. But this flight program is a whole nother level of that. We are weighing and measuring everything that we put into our mouths. We are training hard. We are adding in daily applicable things, both psychologically, both spiritually, both emotionally. And it's going to be a la carte. It's going to fit your needs. I'm not saying that everyone that embarks on this flight journey has to be the same as me, believe in the same things as I do, because they don't. But they need to be ready to be influenced, and I want them to be ready to be changed at the end of the 8 weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for things like this happening in the future. Listen, I know I just talked about training not being complicated, but it is complicated in some people's minds. They can't even digest what I just went through with the walking, the air squats, the push-ups, and the sit-ups, and that's okay, and they don't know how to apply it. Team, at TTRU, go to truefitness.com. Use this QR code right here in the corner if you're watching this video, or check out the link if you're listening to the podcast in the show notes. We have 7 days of free training with all access to our programs. In that all access, you have access to several different programs. You want to focus on strength? We got you. You want to focus on GPP and general physical preparedness? We got you in the form of True 60. We've got True Aesthetics. We've got True Strength. We've got True Endurance. We've got True Gymnastics. We have got a plethora of programs that meet you where you're at. So I don't want any excuses for you. I want no excuses for you. I want you to be able to get the dream body that you want, build the dream career that you want. And in the words of Coach Prime, if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. And if you play good, they pay good. Specifically, there's a lot of men out there that only care about making money. If you think the way that you feel don't dictate the way that you play, don't dictate the way that they see you out there doing your job each and every day, no matter what role you play in society, you're fooling yourself. you're fooling yourself. So let me get off my high horse, send you guys on your way. Spread the message that training isn't complicated. Just move the body and move it in some way, and you will continue to rise. I'll see you guys on the next episode. We're destroying obstacles here, and the next one's going to be nutrition ain't complicated. Keep rising.